ask other folk, they won't ask me, but they ask a lot of other people, where did I leave off or where did I go off or, and the only true answer, because I'm not a liar and I got to tell you the truth, to that answer is that is because I study. I definitely study. And I give all homage to the earthly and my earthly creators as well, which is my mother and my father. Now I do know them. Okay, I do know them. I have evidence of them. Okay, I have proof that they exist, just like I have proof that the creator of the universe exists. My proof that my earthly creator exists is because I can go and I can talk with her, and I also can see my earthly creators, which is my mother, my father. I talk to them all the time. So I know that they exist. Now, how I know that the creator exists is because all you have to do is just look at the trees. You look at the ground, look at the earth, and we know that that was not created by man, okay? And it was not created by a fiction God or a mythological God. You see, I try to tell people all the time that there are thousands of gods. But you know what? This is what we're going to talk about. I want to talk about just a few things in this little time that I have. Uh, First, I want to talk about the freedom of the mind, freedom of your mind, okay, or the freeness of your mind. And then I want to talk about something else that I posted. I just want to just touch a little bit on how the religion mess families up, how religion mess people up and mess up a whole family. And we're going to talk about something that they is saying that is fine with now, and even in any situation, it's cool, and that is polygamy. Okay, that's polygamy. We have a group of people that is going around now that, because of religion, has told them basically in so many words from their study that it's okay for a man to have multiple wives. And we're just going to talk about that a little bit as well. But first, I just want to and see, I could talk about this because I'm free. I could talk about the freedom of the mind because I'm witnessing a free mind. At one time, I did not have a free mind. My mind was not free. Why? Because my mind was connected. It was connected to something. And I'm here to tell you that whatever your mind is connected to, that right there is what controls your mind. Whatever your mind is connected to, that right there is what controls your mind. You see, and my mind was connected to religion. It was plugged into religion. And when my mind was plugged into religion, bam, I gave my mind over to religion. So if I plugged into religion, giving my mind to religion, that means that religion controlled my mind. Just that simple. You see, because I was plugged into it. And when you plugged into it, you also is plugged into a box. And y'all hear me talk about the box all the time. And I'm going to continue on talking about it until the people come out the box. And I do believe that I'm going to die talking about coming out of the box, because I just don't believe that the people, every person is going to come out of the box. You see, you have people that is in the box, that is listening to the correct teaching, and the teaching is bringing folk out of the box. It's not me that's bringing them out of the box. You see, it's the teaching. And I tell you, anytime you go to school and your teacher talks to you and you leave with homework, you see. But now, anytime your mind is connected to a religion, that means that religion is what's controlling your mind. You see, you can't think. You see, you need your brain to think. You need your mind to think. You can't think. You know why? Because what you plugged into thinks for you. It don't matter. It don't even have to be religion. It could be anything. Anything that you done plugged your mind to, Again, that is what control your mind. And we have a case now that the majority of our people is plugged into religion. So therefore, once you plugged into religion, you cannot think for yourself. You know why? Because you have given your thinking over to religion. Now religion thinks for you. Religion comes with a book. It comes with a package. And you looking at the package, in that package is telling you how you should live, telling you what you should do, what you shouldn't do, how you should look, how you shouldn't look, who you should hang around with, who you shouldn't hang around with, who you should marry, who you shouldn't. It just tells you, it controls your mind. It does not let you be free. It don't even let you think on your own. See? But now what if, after all this time, you've been plugged into religion, being controlled by it, you find out now that it's all fiction. What do you do then? A lot of people can't handle that. You see? Now, listen to this. Now that we see that the majority of our people is plugged into religion and religion controls them, now you definitely are being controlled by the ones that control religion. See? Now, the ones that created religion is the ones that control you. Because again, they give you your laws. They tell you what you can and what you cannot do. And once you plugged into religion, what you did is you just completely eliminated your common sense. See? Listen, when the Creator created the world, the Creator created everything in the world for us to live by. It was not in the book. You see? But the Creator created everything at the time that we were created. It was already creation here so that we can live by the creation that was created by the Creator. Listen, didn't no God do that? Because way after the Creator created the world, then they begin to start making different gods and giving them names. Now, okay, if that's the case, which God do you follow? You got you got them that say that Allah is the correct God. You got them that say Yahweh is the correct God. They say Jehovah is the correct God. Jesus is the correct God. Buddha is the correct God. Krishna is the correct God. Enlil, Enki, etc., etc., etc. But guess what? Everybody that have all these different gods will tell you, and they will fight you. They fight you tooth and nail, telling you that the God that they serve is the correct God. You got a bunch of people that are Hebrew Israelites that tell you that Yahweh, and they gave him other types of names. They say he is the correct God. You got another group of people that serve a God by the name of Allah. They say he is the correct God. You see? Then you got Jehovah's Witnesses. Jehovah, he's the correct God. Buddha is the correct God. I tell you what, they all are correct gods. You know why? Because the one that made them correct as a God. You see? That's why I say the Creator is not a God, because all gods are myth. Now, once you have allowed, and here's the thing. You basically are forced. You are forced to accept your mind being connected to religion. Whichever religion that your parents was born with, that right there is a connection that connects your mind to religion. If your parents was born Baptist, that's what you're going to be as a child. You're going to get Christianed. If your parents was Jehovah's Witness, now you are a Jehovah's Witness. You had no say-so when you were born, when you was little, to say, mommy, I don't want to be Jehovah's Witness. You listen, you had no time to investigate what you calling yourself. You had no time to investigate Christianity when you became a Christian. A lot of people became Christians right from their mama's womb. You see? Because when they came from the mama's womb, not too many days later, they was Christianed. And you had no say-so. So that's how a lot of people became Christians. And as a Christian, they just lived as a Christian, lived saying that they was a Christian, lived going by the word, I'm a Christian, and didn't know nothing about Christianity. Didn't even know how they received Christianity. You should ask yourself a question. Those of you that's looking at this podcast, you should ask, or this video, you should ask yourself a question. The question that you should ask yourself is, how did I become a Christian? How did I become a Muslim? How did I become a Jehovah's Witness? How did I become a Black Hebrew Israelite? How did I become that? Why don't you start right there? You do owe yourself that, because that's what you call yourself. Why? Because you have been plugged into it. As a child, you were plugged in it. As soon as your mother and your father stood on the altar and they held you up, and the priest or the preacher, whoever he is, sprinkled water on you, that right there is when they plugged you in to religion, whichever religion it was. You was plugged into it. You see? Having no say-so about it. And as soon as your parents plugged you in at a young age, guess what? You have completely given up your freedom. You have no more freedom, because now you have signed your freedom over to religion, and the ones that create a religion is the ones that control you. This is the reason why it was so easy to put us in slavery. You see, they controlled us with the religion, and they put us in slavery through the religion, because in the book it tells us how we should obey our slave master. It's in the book, in your book, in the slavery book, in the Bible. The thing that the literature that they gave you when they enslaved you and when they can begin to control you, they gave you a literature to live by. And this is the reason why there's a lot of scriptures in the Bible that talks about slavery, that a lot of people don't even know that's there. I remember someone coming up against me. Someone came up against me, and they said this. They say, you know, why you believe how you believe, or yada 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 yada. And I asked them a question. I asked them one question. I say, listen. I said, let me read a scripture to you. Have you ever seen this scripture in the Bible? And they have not a clue about the scripture that I've read. They have not a clue about it, about slavery. Now, what we're going to do before we move on, I just want to read just a couple of scriptures to you. I want to read a couple of scriptures to you, because of the simple fact we have got plugged in to something that we knew nothing about, something that we had no say-so in being plugged into. So therefore, we couldn't ask no question. And we don't know nothing about it. You got a lot of people that stands up for the Bible, don't even know nothing about it. People come against me and fight with me all the time about the things that I say about the Bible, but they won't even read. They don't even read it. You see? And I ask people, I say, for example, let's do this right here. Let's do this right here. Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy. Now, this is coming from out of your Bible. Okay? Deuteronomy chapter 22 and verse 28. Get that for me, please, and just read it loud for me. Deuteronomy 22 and 28. I'm just going to show you. I'm just going to give you just a few. And a lot of people never even knew that a lot of these scriptures was in the Bible. You see? 22 and 28. Deuteronomy 22. Yeah, 22, 28. Matter of fact, I tell you what. Nope, I don't want that. I'm sorry. Go to Leviticus 25. I'm sorry. Leviticus 25. I'm just going to show you some stuff. Okay? And I listen, and I ask older people, have they ever read this? They say, what? I didn't know that was in the Bible. 25, 44 through 46. I need come and give her that mic so they can hear you on here. Please, thank you. Just so that they can hear you, because a lot of times people say that they can't hear. And I'm going to show you some things. You see, listen. I'm not trying to offend Christians. I'm not trying to offend Hebrew Israelites. I'm not trying to offend nobody. Muslims, I'm not trying to do that. I'm trying to help my brothers and sisters come out from where they are and by using their mind. You can be more farther than where you are by just use your mind. Leviticus chapter 25, 44 through 46. Both? Huh? Both? You got to cut it off. Yes, 44, 45, 46.
Both thy bondmen and thy bondmaids, which thou shalt have, shall be of the heathen that are round about you. Of them shall ye buy bondmen and bondmaids. Moreover, of the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall ye buy, and of their families that are with you, which they begat in your land, and they shall be your possession.
Okay.
And ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for a possession.
Okay.
They shall be your bondmen forever. But over your brethren, the children of Israel, ye shall not rule one over another with rigor.
Okay, now they're using the word bondman or bondservant, but that word is slave. So it's talking about slave. That's just a different translation. So in other words, it's telling you that when a person buys slave, that slave belonged to them forever. Okay, and once that person died, they children inherit that slave. You see? Now, people say that this is the word of God. They say that this Bible was given to 40 some odd men, or how many ever. You got some say that, some say this, and by the Spirit of God, he entrusted these men to put this in the book. But they supposed to be the words of God, the German guy, because you did know that the word God comes from Germany. So that's a German word. So that's a German God, a German God. That's something else. You see? But it tells you that basically you own that slave and you can do whatever you want to do to that slave because that slave is your possession. So you mean to tell me that the God that you serve is the one that put that into play? He the one that's giving the instructions on how slave masters supposed to handle their slave. I tell you what, let's look at another one. Let's look at Exodus chapter 21 and verse 7. See, I wish I had the right translation because of the right, huh?
What translation do
you want? Well, just read that. You can just read that.
Exodus what?
Exodus 21 and 7. Exodus 21 and 7. And we read from the Hebrew scriptures. No, you go ahead. You got the mic, so you can.
And if a man sell his daughter to be a maidservant,
and if a man sell his daughter to be a slave,
she shall not go out as the men servants do.
She should not go out as the men servants do.
If she please not her master.
If she please not her master. Now, if this slave that done been bought by the master, if she don't please her master,
who hath betrothed her
to himself,
then shall he let her be redeemed.
Then he can redeem her.
To sell her unto a strange nation.
And then he can start right there, and he can resell her. See that? So now watch this. So this is talking about slaves being resold and The Bible. Now, the reason why the Bible is talking about this, because you got to remember, the Bible stole all its literature and all its ways from the African people. See? So when they went there and they took, when they colonized Egypt, they began to do exactly what the Bible is saying that they was doing. You see? So that was the ways of them, to the point to where now they're giving you the rules on how to do it. They're giving you the rules on how to treat the slave that you buy. You see? Because this is exactly the way that they dealt with the slaves once they went over there and colonized Egypt and took them into slavery. This right here is exactly how, this is the rule. This is the rule that they went by. They had rules. You see? How to handle a slave, what to do to a slave, what not to do to a slave. Tell you what, let's look at another one. This right here, you could buy a female slave. No, you could buy a female sex slave, okay, for yourself, or wait a minute. You could buy a female sex slave for yourself or your son. If you don't like her, you can sell her again, but not to foreigners. Okay? Exodus 21:8. Well, we just read that. We just read that. Now, let's go over to Deuteronomy chapter 21:10. Deuteronomy 21:10-14. I'm just trying to show you some stuff. Now, they say that this right here was all, and see, now watch this. Why don't you ever hear preachers preach about this in the pulpit? Why don't they preach about stuff like this? You see?
KJV or a different one?
I
got English Standard Version.
Do that. Go do the English Standard Version. Okay. Where we at? Exodus what? I mean Deuteronomy 21.
Deuteronomy 21:10-14.
All right, read it.
When you go out to war against your enemies, and the Lord your God gives them into your hand, and you take them captive, and you see among the captives a beautiful woman, and you desire to take her to be your wife, and you bring her home to your house, she shall shave her head and pare her nails. Now,
listen to this. See, now folk never even heard scriptures like that. You see? So now I want you to do it again. I want you to read it again. Watch this. And I'm gonna break it down as you read it. Yep. Start back at yep.
When you go out to war against your enemies.
Now, when you go out to war against your enemies, when you go out to war and begin to start killing your enemies, watch this. Now here you now just say here you. Okay, read.
And the Lord your God gives them into your hand.
And the Lord your
them captive.
The Lord your what?
God.
The Lord your God. Are y'all hearing what this said? The Lord your God has allowed you to take over the enemies that you went up against. Now, let's see what this Lord thy God is going to allow you to do. The Lord thy God
gives them into your hand. And you take them captive.
And now here he done gave them over in your hands. You take them captive.
And you see among the captives.
Now you see among the family that you done killed, the one that y'all done took, the one y'all done took captive over. If you look among them, and if you see a beautiful woman, it could be the sister to the one that you done killed. It could be the mother to the kid, to whoever you done killed. If you see her and you want to marry her, you can get her, marry her, and finish reading.
And you see among the captives a beautiful woman, and you desire to take her to be your wife.
Now you desire to take her to be your wife. Number one, you're going to end up raping her. You know why? Because she's not going to want to be your wife after you just killed their whole family. They don't think about this. So therefore, if you just aptly take her, she don't have nothing to say. You know why? Because God gave them over to your hand and you captured them. So when you captured them, now you can do whatever you can colonize them now. And you can make them the way you want them to be. Why? Because God allowed them to be plugged into you. Now you control them. Now you look among them and see their beautiful sister after you just killed all her brothers. Come on, talk to me. And now you want her to become your wife. and you take her to become your wife, read.
And you bring her home to your house.
You take her home.
She shall shave her head.
Make her shave her head.
And pare her nails.
And pare her nails.
And she shall take off the clothes in which she was captured, and shall remain in your house, and lament her father and her mother a full month.
See? Come on now. But you know what, though? You got these Christian apologists. You got these Judaism apologists, these Hebrew Israelite apologists that get on there and turn this whole scripture all the way around to try to make it seem like, well, that meant this. Listen, it's nothing but stories. Kings and queens, it's nothing but stories. It's nothing but a big book of stories. And folk don't want to understand it. Again, they want to come against me, but they would not read the story. How in the world could you take some of this stuff in this Bible to be true? And you ain't never in your whole life seen nothing that even compare to happening like they say. You ain't never seen nobody walk on no water. You ain't never seen that. You see? But now watch this. Watch this. We're not finished. Let's go to some more. We're going to go to some more. Watch this. Let's go to 1 Peter 2:18. Now, we was in what they call the Old Testament. But now let's go to the New Testament. And it's a shame that the reason why folk would not accept what I'm saying or listen, the reason why people would not accept the truth is because they locked into the box that has been controlled by who plugged you in to Christianity and religion. So you are being controlled by religion. And listen, and you're not allowed to study true history when you connect it to Christianity. Because you know why? Because your pastor will tell you that, oh, see, now you jumping off into some witchcraft stuff. You talking about some witchcraft stuff. But it's in the Bible. How come we can't talk about it? This is what's controlling us. Shouldn't we be able to talk about what's controlling us? But you know how come you can't talk about what's controlling you? Because you're unaware that you're being controlled by it. Now, read 1 Peter 2:18. Now you listen to this now.
Servants, be subject to your master.
Now it says, now do me a favor. Find another like scroll and find another thing that because when it says servants, it says slaves. I want to get the real version of it. They try to dress it up. You know how they try to dress stuff up to make you go along with it. See, but when you out the box and you ain't plugged into them no more, now you know how to study. You know what to say. You know how to study. I just want to get the complete saying of it. Try the Okay. Yeah, 1 Peter 2:18. All right, what you got?
Slaves, be willing to serve your masters. Do this with all respect.
Yes.
You should obey the masters who are good and kind.
Stop. You should obey the masters that's good and kind.
And you should obey the masters who are bad.
And you should obey the masters that are bad. But in a lot of versions, it says the ones that treat you cruelty. It says obey the ones that treat you good, but also you got to obey the ones that treat you bad. Now, this right here. Now, wait a minute. So now why would the creator, I'm talking about the true creator now. Why would the creator create people to become slaves? Why would and I'm going to give you a little history on that. And then we'll lure off. Okay. Why would the creator create a people? And wait a minute. Let me go back to the mythological God. Why would a mythological God, let me take off the mythological since y'all say he's real. Why would a real God now that created heaven and earth, created man as the Bible say, because that's the only thing that say it, And that's the only proof that there is it, and that's in the Bible. There's no other proof nowhere else. But why would a true God, now a sovereign God, you guys say, why would he create a group of people, calling that group of people his chosen people? Y'all got to get this now. He's calling these people that he created his chosen people. So why would he allow his chosen people to go through so much hell that the slave master has given them? Why would he call it? And then why would he put it in the book how a slave master is supposed to obey the one that's murdering him, castrating him, hanging him, putting him on railroad tracks, tying him down, burning them up, taking the young girls, and y'all hear me say this all the time, taking the young girls as soon as you think that they reach puberty, okay, and rape that young girl, pass that young girl around to different slaves, buy her from different slave masters. And then we just read it. If that slave master ain't pleased with her, he can go ahead on and he can redeem her and sell her to another slave. Listen, you know what that is? You know what that is? What would that be called today? Wouldn't that be called sex trafficking? That'd be called sex trafficking. You see? After I'm finished with her, I'll sell her to you. And then you can sell her. It's called sex trafficking.
Can I read 19 through 21?
Yes, read 19 to 21. Where you at?
It's the 1 Peter 2.
1 Peter?
1 Peter 2, 19 through 21.
Yes.
So after what we just read.
Uh-huh.
One of you might have to suffer even when you have done nothing wrong. If you think of God and bear the pain, this pleases God.
You see? Come on now.
But if you are punished for doing wrong, there is no reason to praise you for bearing that punishment. But if you suffer for doing good and you are patient, this pleases God.
Wow. I can't make this up.
21. This is what you were chosen to do.
Wow.
Christ gave you an example to follow.
Wow.
He suffered for you, so you should do the same as he did.
Wow. You understand what I'm saying? But no, but they get on my page and they knock me down when I'm trying to show them this stuff. Now watch this right here. So God is the one that ordained that. Come on now, because remember the words in the Bible is the words of God. He the one that just said, read it again. 1 Peter 2, 18, 19 to 21.
One of you might have to suffer, even when you have done nothing wrong. If you think of God and bear the pain, this pleases God. But if you are punished for doing wrong, there is no reason to praise you for bearing that punishment. But if you suffer for doing good and you are patient, this pleases God. This is what you were chosen to do. Christ gave you an example to follow. He suffered for you, so you should do the same as he did.
Wow. You know, I tell you what, it really hurts my heart because the people will not study. Now, people say they got something against me. I got something against you, and that is you won't study. You see, and it's wow. And we're reading. This is your Bible that we're reading. We're reading your Bible, the Bible that you standing on, the Bible that you coming up against me with. You ain't winning because you bringing them to me and I'm knocking them down with truth, with evidence. There's nothing in that Bible that you can prove. Can I just let me give you a little bit of history, then we're going to lure off. We're going to lure off. Because I'm not going to be long. We're going to lure off. And I want you to study everything out that I'm saying. You got to understand history. You got to understand that BE, before Egypt, there was thousands of years of civilization from our African people, from our African ancestors. There was thousands of years of civilization that they had. Within that civilization, there was no fighting. There was no jail systems, no old folk homes, because they didn't get rid of their old folk. They praised their old folk because they praised their old folk as creators. You see, everything was civilized until 328, I believe, 338 BC, something around there. Do study yourself. When Alexander the Great came over, and they, with open arms, accepted the enemy. They didn't know they didn't know that they was enemy, because they didn't know the difference between the enemy and someone was good. They didn't know the difference between someone bad and someone was good, because in the thousands of years of civilization before Egypt, everybody was good. It wasn't no, this is my land, that's your land, we fight over land. It was none of that. The land belonged to everybody because it was created by the Creator. And the land belonged to everybody. They didn't argue over who lived here, who lived there, who had this. Listen, when one had, they all had. There was no such thing as someone that was rich, someone that was poor. You see, you had the rich over here and the poor over here. When one didn't have nothing, they all didn't have nothing. When one had something, they all had something. This is how they live. They live civilized. And listen, everything that happened over in Africa, BE, before Egypt, was written down. They written it down on stuff like papyrus, hieroglyphics. They written their ways of living down. You see? Now, what happened is when they invaded and when they colonized, when every successor that came after Philippi of Macedonia, okay, every successor that came after his son, Alexander the Great, every successor that came after that picked up where that prior, that former successor left off at. This is, I keep trying to explain to y'all that Jesus Christ that y'all serve today come from two composites back in the 300 BCs. Two composites. All you have to do is just look it up and study it for yourself. But I still will have people get on this here video and still claim that I don't know what I'm talking about. Listen, they took two composites. They took a composite from Memphis, Egypt, which was Apis the bull and Osiris. I'm going to continue on screaming this until you get it. You can't tell the truth too much. You see, like, man, you just tell the truth too much. That don't even sound right. But, man, you lied too much. That sound better. With these two composites, Apis the bull and Osiris. Osiris was someone that they gave homage to over in Africa. Apis the bull is someone that they gave homage to over in Memphis, Egypt. So they took two of those composites, one from over in Memphis, Egypt, and one from Africa or the continent of Africa. One of the main ones, which was Osiris. They took them, they put them together, and came up with Osiris. Osiris was Osiris then, but today is Jesus the Christ. Folk don't want to believe that. I know that's too hard for you after serving him all these years, after praying for a car, real hard to Jesus for a car, and then you got your extra job and you went and bought your car, then you gave how much to Jesus for that car that you went out and you worked real hard and bought. You see what I'm saying? And that right there is what made you delusional to believe that it was him that was doing it. You see? But when it was you all alone, I'm sweating, going to work when you didn't want to work because you needed a car. And as soon as you got that car, you went and you gave glory to God. But now what happened when if the car get repo? You know how many people that done went and got a car, came to church to say they thank God for their car. 6 months later, they come to church because their car got repoed because they couldn't pay the bill. So you mean tell me that God is going to give you something that you can't take care of? Think about it. You see? But they took those two composites, put them together, came up with Osiris, and bam, that right there is when the Ptolemaic, well, that was in the Ptolemaic dynasty. And you know what happened? Because they didn't accept no outcast. They didn't accept no one that was like them. See, people don't understand. People don't understand how brutish and how chaotic and how uncivilized, how savaged these Greeks was. You see, these European, they do not understand how jacked up they were. They lived in caves. They had no civilization. But when they was welcome open arm over to Egypt, they went over there and they seen like, wait a minute, they welcome us this easy. They so easy it's gonna be easy for us to colonize them. It's gonna be easy for us to take over them. See, this is the reason why you shouldn't present yourself so soft in front of people, because they'll take advantage of that. But now, wait a minute, we ain't talking about that. So now I'm just giving you a little history on where this junk come from. So, in a nutshell, they begin to find out when Ptolemy I, Soter, when he became Serapis, he goes back over to Egypt and he see if they would accept his identity. They say no. He got angry, shut down. They shut down all of their sacred buildings, took their sacred manuscripts, took it to Egypt, took it to Memphis, Egypt, and housed it there. Watch this. Long story short now. Once he passed away and died, his great grandson came, Ptolemy III. Ptolemy III, he builds a Serapian temple in honor of his granddaddy Serapis. Goes over to Memphis, Egypt, get all the stolen, all the confiscated ways of the Africans living, took it and put it into the annex building, because right beside the Serapian temple was an annex building, which is today is the Great Library of Egypt. Put the manuscripts in there. On down the line, Theophilus came and he burnt the manuscript and burnt the library down. But that was a cover-up. That was a cover-up to get the ancient Egyptian ways of living through the sacred manuscripts that they had. And remember, they began to start killing them. The Romans would begin to start killing Christians. You see that? They begin to start killing Christians. And then guess what? Then they became a Christian. Once they became a Christian, they began to start learning the ways of how the Africans lived from the manuscript that was stolen, that's supposed to be in the Vatican. See? Oh, just do your history. Just study, do your history. And now, so those are the ways that were stolen. Everything that's going on today was stolen from the ways of our people. This is the reason why, listen, this is the reason why I try to tell people all the time. The reason why they do such a good job in controlling us is because, you know why? Because they think like us. And if I can think like you, I can overtake you. If I can think like you. You see? Because why do I say that? Because of the simple fact, the alphabet come from us. You see? Language come from us. Time come from us. Numbers come from us. Measurements come from us. Meter, it all comes from us. So if that what was happening when the Creator created creation, and our African people live by just the days, they live by the sun, they live by the rain, they live by nature. They didn't have a book. They did everything by nature, by the way that the day presented itself. That right there is how they lived. If it rained, they lived a certain way. When it got cold, they lived a certain way. When the sun rose, they lived a certain way. When the sun went down. So what they begin to do is they begin to start making gods for each part of creation, each part of nature. So therefore you had a sun god. So they called the sun god Horus or Haru. It was Haru before they colonized and changed it from Haru to Horus. Horus is an English, a European name, but it was Haru. Because anytime somebody gets something and steals something and make claim to it, they could name it whatever they want to name it. And then listen, so Haru was the sun god. He was the sun god, the S-U-N, not the S-O-N. You got to see where I'm going with this. Not the S-O-N, but the S-U-N. And guess what? The S-U-N always walked on water. It stayed on the Nile, in the Nile Valley, blazing off the water. That's where it come from. The sun walked on water. Not the S-O-N, the S-U-N. But listen, that was a way that they stole, put in the Bible and said that the S-O-N, the Son of God, Jesus Christ, walked on water. Do y'all see where I'm going with this? Do you see what I'm talking about? You see? So now Osiris, you see? And which was the god of the underground. You see? They tried to make Jesus do everything that these other guys did. You see how they say, oh, now watch this. You can look it up. Matter of fact, do that. Who was Horus or Osiris? We're talking about the god of the underground first. But first, let's do this right here. Let's do this. Look up who was Horus. H-O-U-R-U-S. Who was Horus? I'll just let you hear it from, the evidence. Who was Horus? And then I want one of y'all to look up who was Osiris. See? I'm just giving you something that your church won't give you. I'm giving you something that you didn't learn in school. But something is wrong with me, and it is. I study. What you got?
Horus was an Egyptian god and pharaoh who represented many aspects of life, including the sky, sun, protection, healing, and kingship.
There you have it right there. Now, that was way thousands of years before Jesus Christ was even thought of, before he was even made. You see, he was the god of the sun. I told you, once they begin to start worshiping the sun, because the sun is what gave life, the S-U-N. But you see how they say that the S-O-N in the Bible give life? No, the S-U-N gave life. So they worship the sun, the S-U-N, because nothing would be here without the sun. We couldn't live without the sun, the S-U-N. The trees couldn't live without the S-U-N. Come on now. You see, grass couldn't grow without the S-U-N. So the S-U-N was very, very important. So they gave it a god name, and they named it Horus. Okay? The god of the sky. Now, what is his daddy? Who is Osiris?
Osiris is one of Egypt's most important deities. He was the god of the underworld.
There you have it. So now,
also symbolized death, resurrection, and the cycle of Nile floods that Egypt relied on for agricultural fertility.
you see, I can't make this up. Study it for yourself. Listen, Osiris was the father of Horus. You see? But his name was Horus before it was Osiris. You see? But now his son was Haru before it was Horus. The father, Osiris, was a god of the dead, the god of the underground. You see how they try to say that Jesus went down, but then he was resurrected up? They gave him the same description that Osiris is having, which was here thousands of years before the Bible was even thought of. See? Now, watch this. Isis. Look up Isis. Who was Isis? I'm gonna show y'all something. So now watch this. So now you got Osiris the father.
Isis was the wife of Osiris. The god of the afterlife and the mother of Horus.
Okay, stop right there. She was the goddess of the afterlife. You see how they try to tell you that they know what's going to happen to you after you die? All this came from Egypt. Come on, y'all. Gotta understand what I'm saying. Now, you got those three. You got Horus, the son, Osiris, the father, and you have Isis, the mother. Okay? Those were called a triad. But you see how when they went there, they stole those ways and they took Osiris, took his name and gave him Yahweh. They gave him Allah. They gave him Buddha. Come on now. They gave him Yahuwah. You see? Because why? Because they conquered the ways of the living of the Egyptians. So now that they conquered that, and now that they stole that, they can do whatever they want to do. They can if I stole somebody's book and I took it, and I make myself the author of that book, I'm going to go through that book. And what I don't like in that book, I'm going to take out of that book. And if I want to add something to that book, what I took out, I can add something to that book. This is what they did with the Bible. There's a literature on Osiris, Horus, and Isis. There's a literature on them. There's a way of them living back in those days. But it was all mythology. They took the same way that they was living and gave it to God, Yahweh, or Allah, which is the Father, Jesus, which is the Son, and Mary, which is the mother. But they call her the Spirit because the Spirit dealt with her, and the Spirit going up in her. So she became the Spirit once the Spirit went up in her and conceived the Immaculate Conception. Are y'all understand what I'm saying? So now they don't completely move Osiris completely out of the way. They moved Osiris completely out of the triad, the Egyptian triad. They moved and they replaced Osiris with Yahweh. Then they moved Horus completely out of the equation, and they first replaced him with Serapis. Then they moved Isis completely out of the equation and replaced her with the Virgin Mary. Like I said, giving her the name or the title Theotokos, meaning the mother of God. Now, the mother of God, she couldn't have been the mother of Yahweh. So now they calling Jesus God. You see? So now that they said she is the mother of God. And where they got that from is from the Council of Nicene. From the harsh statement of Arius. When they was trying to make Serapis equal to Osiris. Before the Romans grabbed hold to it and changed it from Osiris to Yahweh, from Serapis to Jesus, and from Isis to the Virgin Mary. All you have to do is just study. You see? Just study. So they learn all the ways. Right now, they got the Roman, this is all true history. The Romans, once they colonized Egypt and learned the ways of Egypt, they took the ways of Egypt, they took the literature of Egypt that was our literature, got it, stole it from us, turned it around, sold it back to us, we bought it, and now we enslaved with it. It's called the Bible. That's why I say all you have to do is just study each one of them, and you still got people that don't understand. There's people that say, well, how did they get so much information about us? Listen, let me tell you something. If I went over to your house, and I pretend to be your friend, and you begin to trust me, but I'm there for rule reasons, what I'm going to do is I'm going to study your everyday life out. I'm going to study it to a T. I'm going to see what interests in your house. I'm just going to become your friend. Your best friend, to where I'm going to know everything about you and your house and your family. So it's going to be easy for me to colonize it. Once I enslave you, I got to enslave you. That's even in Matthew. If the good man, if the enemy comes, and if the enemy can get the strong man, he can take over the rest of the house. See? So if I come there and if I peep your house out and I scope you out, see how you live and see how everything is going on, then it's going to be easy for me to colonize your house. Because now, if I can bind you, I can make your house hold however I want to make it. See that? I done colonized your house. Why? What did I do? I got to know you first. And that's exactly what they did when they went to Egypt. The Egyptian was nice enough to invite them in, not knowing that they was among the enemy, savages. They came with, listen, they came knowing how to speak. You see, but they didn't have no vocabulary. They had a language, but they didn't have no vocabulary. But guess what? We had a vocabulary. They stole our vocabulary. You see, phonetic sound, which is learning sound. Look up phonetic sound. But you don't have to do that because I want you to look up something else. But phonetic sound is learning how to pronounce, putting letters with words. You see, hooked on phonics. Okay, you're putting letters with words, and that's exactly what happened. Our people, our ancestors, is the ones that put the alphabet with the words that them savage was talking, and they stole the alphabet. You see? Do you know anything about the Rosetta Stone? Look it up. Took the ways and turned it around and enslaved us with our own ways. Took our thoughts, turn around, using us, and control our thoughts with our own thoughts. They wasn't smart. Not at all. You see? You know, I'm going to say this and then I got a couple minutes. Well, I said I was going to talk about this. I'll talk about that later. Now, and in that book, you have all kind of people that have multiple wives. That came from ancient Egyptian. That came from Africa. You see, they had a polygamy that was called sorrow polygamy. That right there is when a man married all sisters. Then they had one that was called fraternal. Okay, it was fraternal polyandry. Polyandry. You see? And that right there is when a woman can marry multiple men. It was reason why they did that. But see, now here's the problem right here. You have these Hebrew Israelites that look into that book. And because everybody now is agreeing with that book, they say, okay, we can have multiple wives. But now, wait a minute. Here's the problem right here. What type of God will allow that woman to just be completely obsolete from having a mouth when the woman is the main thing that was worshipped in antiquity because she was the one that brought forth life? So she had more than a voice. She had everything. That's why she was called goddesses. See? But now the Bible tells the woman she has no mouth. Now watch this. So therefore you have these so-called wannabe Hebrew Israelites of the Bible that will mess up their happy home because, listen, times today ain't like they was then. Now here you was a Christian at one time. And you done got you a wife. You and that wife done is happy, kids and everything. Okay? You find out that Christianity is wrong, and now you think Judaism is right. So now you dive into that, get you some teachers to listen to tell you that, man, it's okay for you to have multiple wives. Now, because you tired of her and you a man, now you want to get you another wife. But now wait a minute, wait. You was once a Christian. Y'all got together in Christianity. That woman ain't finna go for that. She's not finna go for that. But guess what you say? What you say is, she have no say so. Regardless of what she say, I'm gonna give another wife, and she gotta be under control. She gotta be up under submission. She gotta obey me. So forget about how she looking like, oh no, we're not having that. She just gotta suffer. Come on now. So you know what religions is based off of? Do you know what the Islam religion is based off of? And the Judaism, etc. Male chauvinism. Male chauvinism. I could beat my wife and she better not say nothing. I could have multiple wives, she better not say anything. You see? Now, when they did, because that come from the African, but when they did it civilized. You see? They did it civilized. They didn't do it the way that these fellas is doing it today. You got some of these fellas don't even know how to take care of their own self. They can't take care of their own self, but they trying to get another woman. Can't take care of the one that you got, and you're trying to get another one. And all you want to do, you want another wife, but all you do is sit at home and play video games while she go work. You ain't no king. You think you won because you done hooked up with some that say that we God chosen people. You think you're a king, but you ain't no king. A king takes care of the castle. You see? That's not you. Because you pick because your life was just, you was a nobody in life. You see? You went to jail as a nobody. But when you was there, you had no other choice but to pick up religion, be plugged into. A lot of folk got plugged into religion when they went to jail. They got plugged into religion. See? And became a Muslim in jail, a black Hebrew-like in jail, a gangbanger in jail. I told you, let me tell you again, all these religions is nothing but gangs. Because they at each other's throat. You see? The Muslims is that the Judaism, is that the Hebrew Israelite throat. Come on now. And do you think, in my closing, do you actually think that a creator will break up your home? Now, shouldn't that creator know that my wife ain't gonna go for that? Because that right there is not what we was brought up in. We was brought up somewhere. My wife ain't gonna go for that. And here y'all done been married 20 years and you just tired of her now. And you want to get you something else. So therefore you say, okay, well, we can do that. There's no curse of that. You see that? And she's not for it. But because you just shoved her to the side and said, I'm going to do it anyway, and you have no say so, come on now. You mean tell me that right there is the type of God that y'all serve? You see? Come on now. You mean tell me that that's the type of God that you serve? That'll break up your happy home? Your home was happy. You see? Come on now. Like I say, people need to wake up and come up out of that box. And the reason why folk don't like teaching like this is because they never heard teaching like this. And the place that they locked into don't teach like this. You see? Because you're bound, you're not free. You're bound. You're not free. You see? Now, I'm going to stop right there. If anybody have any questions, you can put you can ask your questions. Let me go ahead and say, do I have any? Hey, my brother. Hey, my brother. Brother Morris. Yes. So listen again, all praise to creation that has been created by the Creator. And I know if you was to do your studying, you will find out that the Creator is not a God, because all gods are myth. Now, if God created the heaven and the earth, which one did it? That's another question. Which one did it? Answer that question. That's a question that I'm asking to YouTube. That's a question I'm asking to Facebook. If God created heaven and earth, which God did it? That's all I want to know. Which God? You should know now. You should know which God did it. You're gonna have some say, "Well, Allah did it." You're gonna have some that say Inky did it. You're gonna have some say Ninhenzar did it. You're gonna have some say, well, Yahweh did it, Jehovah did it. Yeah. I just want to know which one did it. And listen, and when you tell me which one did it, which one you think, I want to see proof and evidence of the one that you say that did it. Again, all praises to my earthly creators, which is my mother and my father, my the creator of the world, which no one know who he or it or she or whatever is. Okay, we don't know what all we know is we were created. All praises.